So my persuasive speech is going to be epic. Seriously. Okay. So anyway, this gets into management. I have an assignment here and it is due on Tuesday. So I thought I'd get a head start on just thinking about it. What do I want to say? How do I feel about it? Kind of gives me a little bit of time to really process so that I can write a really good paper. So I went and printed it off. This is going to be really good. Seriously. I just need to be confident. And I need to really make my audience feel that I am confident because I am talking about confidence. Hello. All right. In this assignment, you are being asked to reflect on the nature of strategy and why it is important for both organization as well as for individuals. Strategy is a plan in achieving a goal over a particular period of time. In developing a good strategy, what types of issues need to be considered? What does strategy have to do with competitive advantage? Strategy is important for organizations, but it's also important for individuals. What would be an important element of your personal strategy in order for you to be successful in your college career? And what are the things that you need to develop in preparation for what you want to do after college? In a competitive situation, an organization doesn't have to try to be the cheapest, but it should always try to be the best. As you compete for a career in the marketplace, you may not always be the smartest, so what other things should you focus on? I really like that second question. I'm not really sure how many questions here he's asking, so I'm not really sure where to start, I guess. The terminology I will look up as I start writing my paper and doing some research on it. That'd be a good start. And so these questions down here are a little bit more personal. Since I like the second question better than the first question, I guess I should start with the first question because it's harder. Okay. What would be an important element to your personal strategy in order for you to be successful in your college career? An important element of my personal strategy. Organization. Definitely. Priorities. Definitely priorities. I try to prioritize my life around my children and around my school because I feel that school is very important to me in my success. That is my knowledge. So I make school priority right underneath my children. So, I mean, in my own personal life, when you look at, and actually I got a paper where you can see something that I formulated myself, where you can actually see what is important to me, what are my priorities, what are my most important factors in my life. And those are what I try to focus on. Okay, so I'm going to grab that paper and I will show you. Where did my screen go? There it is. All right, so if you look here, it says Amanda, me. Number 1, Brooklyn and Christopher. Those are my kids. Okay, do you see this? Number 2, school. Number 3, work. And then you have friends and then family. And extensions off of that. Friends and family, number 4 and number 5, okay? So when you look at this, and you probably should stick with only like 5 very important factors, at least. And then look at which ones are the most important. So if you write them down, and then you say, okay, number 1 through 5, Number one is the most important, and that is what I did here. This is the beginning of my strategy. This plan indicates where my focus is, because my strategy is to prioritize and then focus on those priorities. Okay. So the next part of that question, what are things you need to develop in preparation for what you want to do after college? Some things that I need to develop is first of all, I need to improve on my networking skills, because networking is very important as to anything in life. Where you go, how far you want to go. It's a very important element in your success or your overall strategy for things. So definitely would say I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, let me reread that. Yeah. So anyway, networking is definitely a very important element of that. Okay. So what is networking exactly? Networking is, who you know, and that's, whether it's calling companies around and asking to shadow, or it's developing work relationships. All of these things become very important elements as to what's going on in your life, and each element will just depend on the circumstance or the most important factor. And if your most important factor is one of them is work, then obviously you want to make sure that you establish, your credibility in that area. So really, there's a strategy to everything, and there's a different strategy for each circumstance and each priority. So you just have to really think more complex, and you always have to think, okay, what do I need to do next? What's the next thing I need to do in order to get here? And you need to set very small goals for yourself, per se, in your mind. And it's like, okay, I need to get from A to D. Okay, how do I get from A to D without skipping anything? Which is the most efficient way, the most effective way. So the most efficient and effective way is to go A, B, C, D. There you go. Again, a strategy. That's what a strategy is. Okay, so the last question says, in competitive situations, an organization doesn't have to try to be the cheapest, but it should always try to be the best. As you compete for a career in the marketplace, you may not always be the smartest, so what other things should you focus on? I just did research on hard work and what hard work is, and I think that hardworking people actually do achieve success. They actually do. Hardworking people are successful people. So you should definitely be hardworking, and I think that would trump over, being the smartest. And if you're hardworking, you're also very intelligent as well. You just have good work ethics along with being intelligent. It's like 1 + 1 = 2, whereas 1 + 0 = 1. Make sense? Okay. So, again, I say networking. Ask if you can learn more, get more experience. Networking provides experience. So get some more experience. And a lot of times, if you do have some sense of credibility behind you, and experience without a degree, you might not be considered for a professional position. But if you have experience and then you also have a degree to back you up, then you would be considered. And then with your experience and your knowledge, you can express that in an interview, and you can actually, that's actually what's going to get you your position. So you're not necessarily the smartest, but you do have a degree, and you have all of this experience and knowledge, and that's what we want. And then on top of it, you're showing your credibility. You're establishing your credibility through all of this experience, these shadowings, these internships, and these networking things that you've done. And that establishes who you are. You have all these people that can speak on your behalf and says to who you are. You have, all of these legitimate things to bring to the table, which is really great. In doing that, let me think. I also think the ability to communicate how you present yourself is definitely very important, and it goes hand in hand with how an organization presents themselves. If you as an organization present yourself as we sell cheap products, or maybe in like a very negative way, I guess, per se, then you're going to have negative feedback. But if you are always prepared and you have it all together and you look like you have it all together, yourself personally, your organization, you got it all together. You're good. You're golden. If you can present that without actually saying, I'm golden, then you develop another sense of credibility and honesty, and it just kind of forms who you are. It's who I say I am actually is who I am, and that's what you're presenting, and you're succeeding at presenting that because that's how your organization is ran. Because you're not saying it yourself, but the image that you're giving by doing that within yourself, within your organization, by standing by your ethics, your morals, your values, by standing by these things, you do not have to say who you are because it indicates who you are. Yep. I'm so glad that I did this. And that's really all that I have to say. And I look forward to seeing you again.